Mike, good morning to you. You just heard Rahel's report. How concerning is what's happening with oil prices and the coronavirus? Will we feel it here in the American oil and gas industry?
Thanks, Dom. I do think that it is a key concern for our industry, and we're focused on it. But we also look at the history of such viruses. So if you go back and look at the SARS virus, that was really a couple of quarters that were affected, and oil prices rebounded after the SARS epidemic receded. And we expect something similar. So, this is an industry that is resilient. It's an industry that has dealt with booms and busts over its many years. And I think that you'll see the industry rebound as the coronavirus ceases its effect on the American economy.
All right, so Mike, as Rahel mentioned, a huge contributor to the global oil oversupply is the U.S. shale revolution and fracking,
Absolutely.
hydraulic fracturing. That technology was huge in terms of putting the U.S. front and center, the swing producer for the world now, diminishing even OPEC's global hold. That did come up in this week's Democratic presidential debate as well. Take a listen.
The scientists are telling us that if we don't act incredibly boldly within the next 6-7 years, there will be irreparable damage done, not just to Nevada, not just to Vermont or Massachusetts, but to the entire world. Joe said it right. This is an existential threat. You know what that means, Chuck? That means we're fighting for the future of this planet.
All right, so, Mike, those are some heated words from some of the Democratic presidential candidates. Bernie Sanders there, the independent from Vermont. What exactly is the oil and gas industry's take on how the current political situation is evolving? And how important is that U.S. fracking industry to the overall well-being of the American economy?
Well, you just saw the numbers. Really, it's only because of the American energy revolution that consumer prices have continued to remain low for energy. So we're focused on making sure that this technology stays online because it is helping consumers. But, Senator Sanders also forgets an important component of this. It's also helped our environment. Because of the fracking energy revolution in the United States in the last 10 years, prices have gone down, but also our environment has improved. In fact, we're at 25-year lows in terms of the emissions that are being produced in the United States. In fact, we lead the world in emissions reduction, and that is mainly because of the switch from coal as the lead energy production unit to natural gas, which is significantly cleaner. In fact, we calculate that about 60% of the environmental improvement in the reduction in emissions is because of natural gas, not because of renewables. So if I told you about a technology that would actually help the environment, that would help American consumers, would reduce our trade deficit, and increase American jobs, I think most politicians would jump on that, not try to ban it. So we're really focused on making sure that this technology stays online. We have a study coming out next week, in fact, Dom, that's going to show that about 7.5 million American jobs would be lost if some of these proposals were put into place. So we're keenly focused on this technology and making sure that American producers can continue to produce for the world market.
All right, Mike, in a former life, you were in the political arena. In this life, you're in the business one. It's a cross-section. We know that energy, business, politics is never just black and white. But you see what's happening with the Democratic presidential primaries coming up. You see what's happening with President Trump. What is the industry, the oil and gas business in America, doing in terms of handicapping the outcomes? And how exactly are you preparing for what could be different outcomes in this election cycle?
Well, we will obviously play a key role in the election going forward. But key states that folks want to win if they're going to be president of the United States have huge amounts of energy jobs in them. Pennsylvania is just one example. 400,000 jobs in the state of Pennsylvania committed to this industry. And we want to focus on those folks. These are great paying jobs in the energy belt. And we think that most politicians will wake up and realize that if they want to actually be president of the United States, they have to be focused on these great paying jobs in the energy sector. So we'll play a role. We work with Congress. We work with regulators. We'll be working with all of the presidential campaigns to make sure that they understand how important this industry is. But of course, we are very concerned about the policy implications of what some of the candidates are talking about. One of the other things they're talking about is actually taking the oil export ban back to the 1970s and saying that American producers can no longer export crude. That would be a terrible thing from an environmental perspective as well. Because what you're basically doing is you're taking production that would have happened in the United States. It's going to happen somewhere else. The world will meet this demand. Then the world demands about 100 million barrels a day. That is going to continue, whether it's done in the United States, which is the most environmentally conscious producer, or it's going to be done in other places.